lovely to meet you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for
Your
having me.
pieces are simply breathtaking.
Thank you.
How long have you been an artist?
I've basically been doing art ever since I was 8 years old. I started doing things, I guess, what most kids would do, you know, sketching and drawing, and then I kind of, as I went on, I got into 2- and 3-dimensional art. But I've been doing it ever since I was a kid, about 8.
Well, that's fantastic. I've seen your work at exhibits, and I've noticed that you're always so passionate about it. What makes you so passionate about your pieces?
Well, my art is my way of expressing how I feel and how it kind of tells a story about my life. I think a guy that plays music expresses it when he plays music. I just use the gift that God gave me, and I express the walk I went through in my life, you know, from childhood to where I am now, having this interview with you.
Great. Well, are you formally trained? Were you formally trained, or you just picked it up?
Well, I kind of picked it up. Making a long story short, I always did do art. And so I got this crazy idea that to open up an art gallery. And as I opened up the art gallery, at that time, you know, a lot of people wasn't into art. So I said, I'm going to take the art gallery out on the road. So I started going to colleges. And I never forget, I was at a college in Minnesota, McAllister College. I remember it like yesterday. And I heard 2 of the professors saying his work is really good, but he don't even have a degree. And that just really didn't feel right. So I went back to school and got a degree in art just to make sure if I ever heard someone saying little words, I could say, yes, I do have a degree. You know?
That's amazing, because I've seen the work of other artists with degrees.
Yes.
And I don't know that it would have made any difference if you had a degree or not, because your work is just fascinating, it's breathtaking, it's exquisite.
Thank you.
I mean, it's unique. So how did you evolve into this uniqueness?
Well, I started working with like steel wire, like a galvanized like wire. And it's like drawing. It's like drawing. The wire is like a stroke of a pencil. It's like drawing with a pencil only you're not using a pencil, you're using the wire. So it's something I've started probably doing it back in like the early 80s, or even late 70s, early 80s. I made wire heads. I made everything from squirrels to dogs. I even have a life-size figure of a lady that's a little larger than life-size out of wire. But the technique itself is just like I said, it's just like if you took a pencil, you get a basic shape and you just keep drawing it till you fill it in. So that's kind of what the wire is. It's filling in the wire. It's the motion of weaving and wrapping, as I say. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some of the pieces that I've seen have a silver-looking wire,
Okay.
and you said they were Swarovski crystal.
Right.
How did that come about?
Well, I started off doing small pieces. I'd say even my jewelry is like really small pieces of sculptures. So I was doing the jewelry, and I just was down in my studio working, and I got this little voice. And when I say this voice, his name is Jesus. And he said, you need to do something bigger. So that's how I got into the instruments and the larger pieces. I just needed to do something on a larger scale. And then I got this thing where I wanted to do something that everyone could relate to. And so music is something that's just universal, you know. People, when they listen to music, it's just like art. If they see a piece of art, they don't care who does it or who he is. It's just, I like it or I don't like it. And I don't even care about the don't like, as long as I get a response. You know, if you create something, a piece of art, and someone can just walk by and never get a comment, then this time you need to maybe go get you a job or something, be a cook or something. But as long as you're getting some kind of response, because it's all about one's opinion and what they like. It's not, art is no good or bad art. It's about what you like.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. Now, you talk with your hands, and I noticed this bracelet. Is that one of your pieces?
That's one of my pieces. That's a piece I made for myself, yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's the same metal and stones?
Yes, this is the polished metal. We call it time wire, and that's where we got the name for the jewelry. And what's unique about it, it never gets dull. It stays exactly the way that you see it. You just wipe it off with a soft cloth, and then I put the Swarovski elements in. And then they just, if you can't afford diamonds, this is the best thing. This is the ladies' next thing to diamonds, the Swarovski elements.
Well, that's fabulous. I would love to have one of those.
Well, maybe we could work that out
Okay.
afterwards.
Now, there's a piece on the piano behind you. Is that one of your pieces?
That's one of my pieces also.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that how you started with that, the black wire, and then you evolved
Yes,
to?
yeah, that's what I started with, the galvanized wire,
Okay.
and then it was treated, primed, and painted, and then I worked my way up to the polished time wire.
That's
Yes.
fantastic.
Thank you.
How much time would you say you spend on your pieces?
It just depends. A lot of times I work on more than one piece at the same time. I'm a person, I get bored real easy, so I may work on 6 pieces at the same time. I may work on a piece of jewelry. I may work on a piece of sculpture. I'm just bouncing around. It's just flowing. Then sometimes I go down and just concentrate on one piece, and I'm down there all night and day. Yeah.
And where are you originally from?
Kansas City, Missouri is where I'm originally from.
Is that where you were trained, formally trained?
Well, that's where I grew up at, and that's where I started my creative walk, and I did go to school there also. Yeah.
Describe how you feel when you're working on a piece and that piece starts to take form or take shape. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like you as a lady, do you have kids?
Yes.
You can relate to this then. It's like giving birth to a child. That's the closest thing. I never gave birth to a child because I don't have that ability. You do. But that's what it is. It's like something, you know, I'd say that everyone has a creative source in them. The difference between me and a lot of other creative people is making the mind and the hand connect. You know, people come up with great ideas, but they just great ideas. They just stuck in their head, you know. And they're just words floating around. They tell people, I got these great ideas. The difference between me and a lot of other people that are creative people, we make the brain and the hand connect, where we actually take an idea that's in our mind and we make it materialize, where it's actually a matter where you can touch, walk around, and actually look at it, where the hand and the mind connects.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I answered your question. It's like giving birth to a child. I just get, it's just words can't describe it. I just enjoy, no, that's not true. I love what I do. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I would say that you are a true artist,
Thank
Time
you.
McClendon,
Thank you.
because not everyone can think of something and then make it come to be
Absolutely.
and make it as beautiful as your pieces are.
Well, I give all the grace to God. You know, it's just, I figured out a long time ago, you know, everyone has to find out their skills. Some young boys grow up to be football players. Some grow up to be great teachers. I figured out a long time ago the gift that God gave me, and He gave me this gift for creativity. And I mean, I paint and draw and all that, but the wire is my thing because it makes me, I can connect to it. Like I said, it's like drawing with this piece of metal.
Mhm.
And that's why I do what I do. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me
Thank
because
you.
I've never seen anything
Thank
like
you.
it.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
so creative. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything
Thank you.
so unique.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. You know what? I've seen a lot of wire work, but the type that I've seen is like people take it and you just, they actually, what I want to say, they wrap it. It's like a circular movement and they form shapes. Well, I kind of went that way, but what I added was another touch to it, where I put a twist on it, and I put a twist on the wire, where I put this circular movement like cylinders. So what I did is did a marriage of the wrapping and the weaving with the twist of the circular movement and join those together. So that's how I come up with this technique. When I think about it, if you found something that was very old at the bottom of the sea, and you know how the elements itself gives a piece old, that hairy-like effect, and that's what I kind of want to do with the art that I do. It has that hairy-like effect on top of it, and that is accented by the Swarovski crystal that is set in place on the top of that movement. Yeah.
Now, I hear you have a piece a palm tree
Yes.
in a gallery in Hawaii.
Yes.
Can you describe that piece?
Well, it's I would love for it to be life size, but it wasn't. But it is actually a palm tree. I did a little research and I researched different palm trees, and I just picked out the one that I liked, and I just did it. It's probably on a scale of a life size. I say maybe on the it's probably I would say 20% the size, or maybe even a little larger than the size of a real palm tree. But it has all the movement, the leaves, and it's just accented with the crystals. But it still has the type of movement, curling, weaving technique in it. Yeah.
So if I said, could you make an airplane? Could you make a car? Could you make anything that I asked you to make?
Absolutely. My little saying to that is, if I can see it, I can make it. That's just the gift. God just gave me that kind of connection with what I do, you know. When you love something, you take the time to study it. You take the time to work it. You take the time to nourish it where you know all the ends of it, the beginning to the end of it. So I have worked with this night and day, not just this week, not just 10 years, but I've been working with this wire for at least 35 years or more. So it's just something that I do.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that's obvious that you've been working with wire for a very long time, because it has evolved into something that's really magnificent.
Thank you.
So how do we contact you?
I have an email. I have a website. I have a phone number. I mean, which one do you
Yes,
want?
well, I did see your pieces on Time Wire Jewelry at
Okay.
AOL.com. I do
Okay.
know that.
All right.
So we will be contacting you.
All right.
I will personally contact
All
you.
right. I thank you for having me on your show. Yeah, I love it.
So are you available for gallery exhibits? Or?
Yes, I can do. I'm in the process of now adding pieces. I want to go from the extreme where I can do someone a gallery can come in. I can do a one-man show for a gallery. To the other extreme, that I can custom do one-man pieces. If someone said, "Hey, I want you to do me a car," all I want to know is what type of car and what size you want it, and I just do it. It's just simple as that. Yeah.
Well, I'm involved in many fundraisers. Are you available?
Yes, I do fundraisers. I can create objects that, just say you got a logo or something and you want it, you got a symbol or something that represents that. Just say if it was the Heart Society, maybe they want a wire heart. I could do something like that. So it's no limit. Like I said, if I can see it, I can make
Right.
it. Yeah, I do jewelry, I do bracelets, I do keychains, anything that's you can think of, anything in the jewelry, from handbags to earrings to bracelets to rings to keychains. I makeup mirrors. I can do anything. You know, I'm waiting on that phone call with someone to say, I want you to do me a chair, or I want you to do me a whole headboard above my bed, or whatever. You know, if it's 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, I can make it. Yeah.
You know, the instruments are so lifelike.
Uh-huh.
Did you cover actual instruments, or is that a sculpture from?
People ask me that all the time. It's actually shaped, and then I do it's actually all wire all the way through. Like the guitar itself, it took about 6 months, over 6 months. It has over 5,000 Swarovski elements in it. And if you look at all the pieces, you see there is a butterfly. And people say, well, what's the deal on this butterfly? And they say, well, is that the feminine side of you? Well, I don't know about all that. I got this thing about butterflies. I think butterflies, if you think about them, they start off as what's the little wiggly thing? Caterpillar. And then they evolve into this beautiful thing that flies around with all these beautiful colors. And the life of butterflies are not very long, believe it or not. They don't live very long. And I relate that to us, you know, even though we think if we live to be 70, 80, 90 years old, that's a long time, but that's really not a long time. So that's the way I look at it. That's why I have a butterfly. It's kind of my little trademark I put on all the instruments, because it shows how something can start off as a cocoon, can be so ugly and rigid, and if we nurture that and find our gifts and nurture our gifts and let them develop and put the time in them, they can blossom into this great butterfly. I don't care if you are a painter, a writer, a hat maker, a sculptor, a school teacher, whatever you do, just make sure you blossom. Make sure you nurture your gifts and let them take off. And there's no end to it.
Well, it's obvious you've been nurturing yours.
Yes, I have.
Now, are there celebrities that have your pieces?
Yes, I have made pieces for people like Janet Jackson, Jim Perkins, he's from Grey's Anatomy, Vanessa Williams, of course we know about her, Snoop Dogg, Alicia Keys. There are others, I just off the top of my head, those are the four that come out.
It's a great list.
Yeah, thank you.
Great list, it's impressive.
Thank you. I would like people to remember me as a simple guy that was raised up by simple parents, didn't have a whole lot, but one thing they did do, they encouraged us to do whatever we did, long as it was something positive. I can remember when I was a child and I did art, I would make all these crazy things. My brothers would think I was crazy, but my parents always would say, "Oh, that's great, that's good." They never disencouraged me to do what I was doing. When I first started doing art shows, they would always show up. I remember my dad always saying, he was a steel worker, he would always encourage me. He said, "Man, that's really good." He didn't even know what he was looking at, let alone be saying it was good. But it was the idea that his son did it, it made it okay. So I would like people to remember me as an artist, a simple person that found his niche and developed his niche to the point that he could make a living with it and he could encourage other people by what he does. And what I mean when I say that is, like, if this guy can take some wire, something that people step on with their feet or they just walk, it's the same kind of wire, maybe the same kind of wire a fence or a house is hooked up to. If he can take this and add the natural gift that God gave him and create it into something where people can take their hard-earned money to buy, I can do something with my gift. So I would just like to encourage people, find your gift. It's like a seed. Find your seed, place it on good ground, water it, and just pray about it and let God help you develop it. And it will grow into this beautiful tree or blossom into that great butterfly. My proudest moment is, I always said, I love what I do. And God has gave my art. I have been to over 100 colleges with my art. I have spoke places, people. I've been on talk shows, I've been on TV, I've been on radio shows, and it's just amazing, And then to put the icing on the cake, I said, if I could find someone that I love like I love what I do, I would marry them. And I found that, and I married the lady to put the icing on the cake, and that is my wife. Where I hope to be 5 years from now is I would like my work to be really taken off to the point where I am so financially established where I can help other people. That idea that really bothers me is when I hear people say, that's a struggling artist. That just doesn't feel good to me. So I want to help other people that are creative, nurture their creativity and let it grow into something where they can be proud of it and make a living with it. I meet people from time to time and they always say, I got a son that can really draw and they can do this. Okay, I think that's great. But if you don't take that skill, and spend time with it, it's not going to develop. So I tell anyone, encourage, if you have a child or you are creative yourself, take time to know your gift. And when I mean know it, I ain't just talking about know what you're doing. Read about it, find the history behind it, find different ways of making it, and never be satisfied with what you do. Always try to find a better way to do your gift. Always be in a learning process. No one knows anything. Every day I work, I find out something new about what I do. I said, wow, this is easier. This makes it easier to do because I spend the time. I have a relationship with the gift God gave me. I think the best scripture that best describes me is, I say the 23rd Psalms came off the top of my head. Yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And the comfort that I have is the gift that I have. It's kind of wild. It's really, I've got some tears in my eyes because the gift that God gave me has taken me places that other people can't even imagine. Can you imagine a young kid growing up in not where you had holes in your shoes, you're struggling, and you take something that people just really don't even understand it or take advantage of it, and you create this to the point someone will buy you an airplane ticket and fly you to their college and let you talk in front of their kids. That's amazing to me, and I just thank God for that. So I'm just a simple person that's trying to do great things, not only for myself, but other people with the gift God gave me. That's all I'm trying to do, yeah.